Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce we're being supported by Old Glory Outdoors. They're a veteran-owned company that carries fishing and hunting gear. Plus, they're highly active in supporting veteran organizations and charities. Old Glory is an authorized dealer of favorite rods, FX rods, Guggen baits, X-Zone lures, Sixth Sense, and many more. There's a brick-and-mortar store located in East Brookfield, Massachusetts, but you can also order online at oldgloryoutdoors.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states or order online and pick up at the store. When you order, use the promo code JIGS and Bigs and you'll save 10% off your complete order. Plus, you'll help support the show. Make sure to check out the apparel line called OGO Gear while you're there. Old Glory Outdoors believes in the slogan "Start 'em young" to keep kids away from screens and enjoying nature. They've got a full array of live bait too. Check out oldgloryoutdoors.com and use the promo code JIGS and Bigs. Save some money and gear up now. Hey everybody, Bobby Roast Beef here for another episode of Jigs and Bigs. You know it's Tuesday. It is time to get your fishing fix for the week. I've got Sean the Fisherman with me. Sean, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Lots of good stuff to talk about today. First off, I'm going to start. Happy 6-month anniversary to the podcast, man.
Big. That's huge. 6 months. This has been going on, so it's been kind of amazing. And I got to tell you, it went by really, really fast. I wasn't even planning on keeping track of anything like this, but boom, 6 months like that just happened. And the way we found out is because Anchor stopped their ad with us. So you don't have to listen to us hawking Anchor for however long so we can make, some pennies on the play. So there's that. I guess round of applause for that.
Did we just get a round of applause for not being whores?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's 2020. It's like, we're just out here living our best life, and it is what it is. And from what I understand, we've both been living our best lives this week. It's been a pretty good, I know I've had a fantastic week, like an amazing week. Caught a new PB this week. Actually got back up on the horse, a little bit of confidence, very, very nice. But it's starting to get cold. How about you, Sean? How was your week of being out on the water? Or did you get out on the water at all this week?
No, when I got back from camping, I was sick as a dog. So I ended up catching a cold. It looks like the same one that went around my house a week or two prior.
Yep.
And I held off that time, but man, it slapped me in the face when I got back from camping. So I actually ended up, taking the proper precautions, going to get a COVID check on Tuesday, which came back negative for Thursday, which was nice, with Friday.
Applause for not getting the Rona,
Yes. And then, let me think about this. I only got out Saturday for a tournament. That was it. I had a MacBee tournament down at Snippatuit Pond, way down by Cape Cod in Rochester. Beautiful Rochester, Mass.
Rochester, Mass.
Yes. And, honestly, I mean, if you want me to get into it, I'm very happy to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I led for most of the day. Again, these MacBee tournaments, you've heard me say it before. Man, they're a meat grinder. There's some big guns and in these tournaments, and Snippatuit can be real finicky. It's a large body of water. Mm-hmm. It does have a great forage base because it's got sea run, alewives, and herring going up to it. Yeah, but it is, for the most part, it's almost like one gigantic flat. There's not a lot of depth to it. And with the drought still lingering, the effects of the drought still lingering, I don't think I saw any depths in the main lake deeper than 5.5 or 5 feet deep. And I was keeping an eye on my fish finder pretty well. Mm-hmm. It does have a small pond attached to it that does have a little bit of depth. And I spent most of the day there. And then the bass bite kind of dried up for me. So somewhere around like noon, the tournament went 7-3. So somewhere around noon, I vacated that premises and went out to the main lake and really put on some search lures and went for some big pickerel, which I did not claim a pickerel apocalypse, but I will claim a pickerel palooza out of this. So I got 4 big ones out of there. They just weren't giants.
A pickerel palooza.
Yes, that's the next step down from a pickerel apocalypse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in the dictionary, I'm pretty
Clearly.
sure.
Yeah. So we're going to go into some dictionary terms, by the way, because that came into play this weekend for me.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with that.
You know exactly where I'm going.
I do. But yeah, anyways, back to that tournament to wrap that up. So again, really big names in this tournament. A lot of guys that fish nationally. And like I said, I was leading up until the standings went off at 1. I think somebody jumped me for first place somewhere around noon. So I think by the time they shut off, I was in 4th place. Again, I had really shifted gears and gone over to pickerel. That I succeeded. And I also got an upgrade crappie for another tournament, which was nice for the Chronic Trips tournament. And then,
that's awesome.
I ended the day. We all said goodbye. Nobody knows what the standings are until all the fish get verified, which is really, it seems kind of weird. Like you would have a tournament. And this, a lot of tournament anglers who are listening to this might find this unusual, but the prizes aren't paid out. There's no payouts until after all the fish are verified, which I think is fantastic. I'd rather wait and, everything's sure that all the measurements were good and all the CPR was done properly. So actually right before we got on air, I saw that the standings finally went back online.
Yep.
I finished 8th, which I'm fine with. Like I said before, I don't expect to win every tournament. And I had even said to Nate Shagnon, I was talking with him and I said, when this Snippatua thing comes up, I actually, if I hadn't stayed in first place for so long, I probably wouldn't have devoted so much time to bass. But I said to Nate, I'm going to fish for bass for about an hour and then start gunning for pickerel, which he thought was funny. Nate was also in the tournament. He had I think a rougher day than I did, but a lot of people had rough days. It wasn't there was a couple big fish caught, but it wasn't spread out. A lot of 13 and 14 inch fish. But yeah, I finished 8th. I got a bunch of upgrades in the Chronic Trips. I wasn't expecting a ton out of it. And I didn't check to see who won the pickerel lunker. I may be in the run for that. I
could be. Yeah.
No idea. I'll have to wait till Ken Wood posts on it. Ken is the founder and the man behind the curtain who runs MacBee, and he does a great job. So I'm sure he'll put a post up on Facebook and we'll see who won the pickerel lunker. I think my biggest was a 23, which is nothing to sniff at with a pickerel, but I think somebody had a 23 and a quarter, and I know somebody caught a 20. I think it was a 24 or 25, but I saw them on Facebook put the picture up, and they did not. They didn't put it on the lunker. So that sucks. I hate when that happens.
Oh,
that's why I put it on every lunker now, whether I think I'm going to catch something or not.
You might as well, at least if it happens, you're in a position to,
Mm-hmm. Because if you don't and you catch the biggest one, there is no worse feeling. I will tell you that from that one tournament I related from Congamon years ago, where I caught the lunker largemouth and had to hand back an envelope full of cash because, I'd rather lose with integrity than
exactly. Than walk away with whatever. Yeah. That's a shitty feeling when you're just like, oh, I messed this up,
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, my man? I had a good one. Went out with Andy, one of our resident jig heads and contributor to the weekly fishing report. And we went out to his neck of the woods. We fished over there and it was a tough morning. It was a real tough morning. I saw the night previous while I was hosting trivia, Tim Jacks was at my game and we were talking about plans for the weekend and everything. And he was telling me, he's like, I think this is going to be a tough weekend. And the morning bite was just crazy. To add insult to injury for the morning is when we launched, we were not too far away from the boat launch, just kind of like throwing some top water around. And some young kids come down by the bank and start fishing right over there. And this kid hooks into a beast. From as far away as we were, this looked like a big fish. So, I mean, we were both in awe of how big this fish was. And he's yelling to his friends, I got a 6-pounder. Oh, my God, I can't believe this. He put it on a scale, and they're measuring it and everything, and then they did a release. But we couldn't get a bite at all. I mean, we had some follows from some stalker trout in a couple of spots that we had gone to. And, I mean, we were throwing the kitchen sink at them. I was working a buzzbait for most of the morning, and then I had switched over to I had started throwing a jerkbait. Nothing on that. Downsized and went to a Ned, fished that a little bit, and then threw a jig around, but not a whole lot for most of the day. I kind of stayed away from that, but I did start throwing the Zara Spook. and had a nice blow up on that later. But we only really hooked into fish right around lunch. And then things kind of started happening from there, and we saw the angriest damn beaver we've ever seen in the water while we were out there. Just had a great time. So big shout out and thank you to Andy for taking me out. We had a great time, a whole lot of fun, and good conversations, and made good use of this vocabulary we're going to get into.
Go, shoot. I know where you're going. I'm dying. Hit it hard. Settle the metal.
So I'm going to go ahead and say this. So I don't like using the term guru necessarily for everything, but this is sort of a good situation. Sean is like my bass fishing and outdoors guru in a lot of different ways. He's kind of like, he's got a unique way of looking at the outdoors and kind of a fun or a silly way of kind of categorizing different things. So we've shared before the term nibbler, right? We've shared nibbler on the show before and had a good time with it. Nibbler, of course, for those that you know, is basically a small fish, like around like a 12-incher. Like, how low would you consider a nibbler? What's the window in your opinion, Sean, for a nibbler?
Anything that's not legal. So under 12 inches in mass. I'm pretty sure all states are 12 inches. I don't know that. I'm definitely talking out of my ass on that because I've done no research, but gotcha. 12 seems pretty legit. Anything under 12, and then of course the special designation.
The special designation, and it is
9 inches. Anything that's 9 inches underneath 10, that little window is a Trent.
A true Trent.
Because it's a 9-inch nibbler.
It is a 9-inch nibbler indeed. And I caught one of those. Actually, it just missed. It was like 8 3/4. And we were like, oh, is it a true Trent? And when I totally forgotten about this term, and Andy mentions it, and it was like immediately like in a movie, like a flashback where it goes back, and I'm like, holy crap, I remember this. Okay. It was like, oh, I got to throw this on the board. I was just about to release him, and I said, no, we got to throw him on the board and check it out. I was like, 8 3/4, you got to be kidding me. Nearly a true Trent. So that's a little something for you guys. But we should dive into the dictionary. Any terms that you've got, Sean, let's go ahead and go through them and share and make these part of the common angling nomenclature, if you will.
Oh man, the first one. So you're catching me off guard on this because we didn't talk about this show. This was definitely like I laughed before we went on air. You were doing a sound test on my microphone, and I said, "What did I say? Welcome to the completely off the cuff edition of Jigs and Bigs. The completely no plan, flying by the seat of our pants." Well, I have one saying that you've heard me say that is completely non-PC, so I'm not going to share that on the air.
That's true.
That was the first one that came to mind.
Of course.
I say constantly, and usually people wince when I say it, but if you say it with a sly enough grin, people get it.
Yep.
Is there any in particular that you're thinking of?
Not off the top of my head. In fact, I can't remember necessarily any of it's. You know what it is? It's when they come up in conversation that it's like the synapses fire, and I get it. You know, it all connect. Yeah. The dots all kind of connect. So let's just leave that hanging in the background. And if something comes up and you want to share that with the listeners, that nugget, so they can take it and make it their own, bring it up, and we'll go over them. You know, we'll figure it out. So let's go ahead and do this. There is one thing that is huge for this week, and that is this week we are doing one hell of a giveaway. Like, when I say one hell of a giveaway, I truly, truly mean one hell of a giveaway. So this is what's going on, folks. Right now, if you're listening to this and you're not following us on Instagram, you're absolutely 100% missing out. This is what we have going on. The giveaway goes live on Monday morning. Actually, we're probably going to push it to about a little bit more like Monday at noon. There's one more prize element I want to see if we're going to have confirmed for the giveaway, but we've got a lot. So this is basically the deal. Go over to our Instagram page, the Jigs and Bigs Instagram, at Jigs and Bigs. Just go check it out, or go to jigsandbigs.com and follow the links there from our page over to our Instagram. This is worth, if you're not on Instagram right now, this is worth starting an account and just linking it to your Facebook just to enter this kind of stuff, because we have a monthly giveaway planned for you, and we're coming out strong with the big guns. So here's the deal. Basically, what we're offering here is a Shimano Corrado K. The reel is 7.4 to 1 gear ratio, and it is right-hand retrieve. It comes to us courtesy, of course, over from Joe at Old Glory Outdoors, the show's sponsor. Amazing sponsor, and so he's put that up there. But we're also adding with it the very first official Jigs and Bigs jig kit. So that's 4 non-lead jigs that have been specially designed, customized from both Sean the Fisherman and myself for you to go out there and try and build confidence with fishing the jig. So you'll be the first one to ever get this. So the first one is available in there. We also have 4 pounds total. 4 pounds of soft plastics from Stretching Lines. Yeah, 4 pounds, 2 big tubs, plus a couple of stickers. You can go and get it on this. And there's all kinds of different baits. Like these include like stuff everybody's going to use, stick worms and paddle tails and things like that. But there's also great creature baits. There's great craws. There's some big swim baits. Like I think there's a 5 or a 6 incher in one of these. I mean, there's some stuff to try out. And these are great colors too that he's put out there. These are things that people are looking to get. So 4 pounds of soft plastics is pretty damn good. We also have a Hookset Hoodlums apparel and sticker assortment coming courtesy of them. So it's a pretty damn good prize. Now, here's the deal. This is all you have to do in order to be entered in to win. First off is follow all the accounts that we list on there. So we're talking, obviously Jigs and Bigs. You got to follow Old Glory Outdoors and also Joe's fishing account separate from Old Glory. You got to follow that one. You got to follow Hookset Hoodlums and Stretching Lines Angler Gear. All right, follow all those accounts and you're almost there. Then all you got to do is like the photo and comment by tagging a friend. Now, every time you want to enter, you can enter as many times as you want. You just have to tag a different friend each time. That's it. Simple. Once you tag those friends, we'll go ahead and then factor all this together. And there's one other extra cool little feature for our Patreon friends, our Patreon members, the members who have signed up for the Jigs and Bigs Patreon account for the bonus content and everything. They automatically get a 10 times multiplier in this. So anybody from our Patreon list who lines up in there is going to get 10 times whatever entries that they put in. So check it out. It's going to close. Entries will close at 11 p.m. on Friday, October 30th. We'll be doing the drawing on Halloween, and you'll know as a little trick-or-treat surprise who is in and who is not, because you'll get a notification on Halloween night, a little trick or a little treat. So that's the plan, guys. An amazing reel, Shimano Corrado K, in a very, very common gear ratio, something people are looking forward to, plus a bunch of great gear and accessories to go along with it. That's, of course, from us, Jigs and Bigs, Hookset Hoodlums, and Stretching Lines. And, it's going to be fantastic. So, right. Yeah, I think we're looking pretty good with that.
I like learning.
No, learning is good. Learning is good. I got to admit, with this, so I've got a draft of the post with everything that I'm going to put on for when I launch this on Monday. And I got to tell you, man, my emoji game is tight. It's good. Yeah, I'm impressed. At my age, that's not normal.
Dude, the fact that you knew there was a paella emoji is just breathtaking.
Oh, well, I have full disclosure here. I didn't know there was a paella emoji. I wrote paella and it popped up and I said, well, shit, I'm going to go for that. And I'm forever going to use paella constantly. I'll send that to like my mom. She'll be like, how are the kids? How's things? And I'm like, paella. And she's like, what?
It's a synonym for good. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Of course, it's paella.
Yep.
So, what else? I think, fishing wise, I went out on Wednesday and I had a great day out on Wednesday. I went out then and I was throwing around the 9K, the 9K Elite Lures, the buzzbait from Dark Horse Tackle. And I got my first buzzbait fish, which was awesome. The thing was just dynamite, absolutely dynamite. It didn't work for me at all the next day, but I think that had nothing to do with the bait and just the timing and where we were. Anyway, got some good stuff. I got some good stuff going on.
I want to come back to something. So we were talking about definitions and dictionaries and words and slang. Were you going in a certain direction with that? Because I'm waiting with bated breath. Based on who you fished with this weekend.
Well, I fished with Andy. I can't, off the top of my head.
Oh, I thought that's the direction you were going in.
Yeah. No. Why? What do you have in mind? I'm curious.
Well, I don't have his permission to talk about it.
So. Oh, okay.
I was just I had thought that he might have given you a green light to talk about something. No, there's a term he came up with that's not un-PC. it's a good definition. I don't know how many of our listeners will laugh at it or identify with it and be upset. So,
okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna leave that alone for now.
That's fair.
That's a red herring, a false lead. I'm sorry, folks. I thought we were going somewhere, and we were just, me and Bobby weren't melding our minds right now.
So I did, knowing that today's show is going to be very, very interesting. There is something that I kind of want to go. I planned ahead as much as I could. So on the Jigs and Bigs story today on Instagram, I had posted a question basically saying, like, ask us anything, ask the show something. And we got a handful of questions here. Some are just kind of, just folks being funny, whatever. We got a couple in here that we can go and discuss, that I think could be kind of interesting. And then we'll actually, why don't we go and we'll cover the tournament stuff and get caught up there. And then we'll come back to that.
Okay. Yeah, I can hit the tournament stuff real quick. So, here's the caveat with that. So we're in the final week, and we're not even midway through that week because this is the long week. So this one goes to Saturday. So we've only got when do I do the turnover on that thing? It's like the 21st. So we got 4 days on our belt. Have there been some fish caught? Yes. Have the standings moved around quite a bit? Yes, but we got a lot of time left. So I didn't go overboard with my preparation on this. The big things to keep in mind here with this tournament right now.
Yep.
In the competitor division, Nelson looks like some sort of unstoppable force of nature at this point. Every time somebody puts points up and takes a point or two away from him,
he picks it right back up, right?
Yeah, he just or more. So right now, I'm going to go for the standings on the competitor side. So Nelson's in charge right now with 32 points, which if he holds on with that, that's actually going to set a record, because I think the record for points, which is a prize if it's beat a Chronic Trips record. The record for points is 27, which Mark set last tournament in August.
Okay.
So Nelson's in first.
That's a lot of
Teddy
trout
Ford
punched in the throat.
Yes. Oh, there's so many trout punched. Teddy Ford is in second with 20. And then here's where things get really fun and interesting. We have what appears to be a dogfight for third place. Okay. So right now there's a tie for third. Eric Graves and Aaron Coleman are at 12 each. And then right behind them are Nate Shagnon and Tim Jacks with 11 each.
Yeah.
So I am very interested to see how this pans out. I know Tim was out on the water today fishing the Berkshires, a larger lake in the Berkshires. Yep. And he was putting points up with pickerel. He caught a really nice smallmouth.
He caught a great smallmouth today. I thought that was going to be a pinfish, but I think it's just under.
Yep, and he also, I think he caught a massive crappie today too.
Yeah,
so he put points up 3 ways, and I think on top of that he was able to bump up his NE 5. Aaron, I haven't heard from. I know Mr. Graves was not fishing today, I don't believe, because I was texting him back and forth this morning while I was doing homework, and Nate Shagnon was going out for smallmouth today, and once I got into my homework afternoon, I stopped looking at the certifications that I had to do on the Fish Donkey site. So when I wake up in the morning tomorrow and have a cup of coffee or whatever, I'll figure it out. But yeah, so that's 1, 2, and 3 over there. Again, I have not looked at longest fish of the week yet because we're not even halfway through it. There's no real point to it. Anyone can look and see that. Just do some math. You can see when the fish were submitted. And then as far as the Can athletes and sponsors, so we had a pretty good shakeup. I think myself, Mark, and Brock have kind of traded places and traded punches over the past couple weeks. So here's the way it's kind of shaken out as of right now. Brock's in first with 33.
Yeah,
I'm in second with 28, and Mark's in third with 21. And I want to put a note on Mark's because I think there's some current things right now that are preventing him from getting out on the water, and it's not an excuse, but I understand why.
Oh yeah,
I have not been hit in the face by 500 brown trout. There's a reason for it. So, we all might look at this tournament as kind of an aberration with Mark and the brown trout, and that's how I'm looking at it right now. So while he's in third, a little ways off, it's not by much, and there's a reason.
Yeah.
Especially now with the colder water.
Oh yeah.
And the trout bite being on, he's turning in rainbow trout like you wouldn't believe, but they're just not those browns he needs to really put some, to really put me and Brock out of commission with that. And
put a little mustard on it.
Yeah, put mustard on it. Exactly. Eat the shit. And his NE5, I think, would probably be a much higher total with those brown trout because he was catching 19 and 20 inchers for, every one of them. It was just over and over again, just brown trout in that range. And, like I think one of the other podcasts we talked about the tournament, I said, you really need 100 inches in that NE5 to compete just to get, more than 1 point out of it. And looking at it right now, yeah, myself and Brock have only Brock does. Brock has 100 and I'm at 99, and then Mark's a little ways off, and I can definitely attribute that to the lack of 19 to 20 inch brown trout that we've seen for 4 months now. But as far as points goes, Brock's got 33, I've got 28, and Mark's got 21. And we'll see how that shakes out. I mean, I'm to the point now where, I don't have a bluegill. I didn't realize that 8-inch bluegill or bigger were so hard to catch in the fall. I had no idea. Yeah. They're a pain in the ass. Like I've been catching, I went out specifically for bluegill the other day, and I got an 8, or I got a 7 1/4 on a Rapala bigger than my hand.
Really?
I thought I had a leaf.
Holy
I seriously
crap.
did. I was in a body of water with pike and bowfin in it. I was hoping to get one of them as well.
Either one.
I thought I snagged a leaf. And it was a 7 1/4 inch bluegill. And I'm like, well, you couldn't have been 3/4 of an inch longer, you little shit.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good. But yeah, so I'm in a position now. I mean, as far as strategy goes, we got 1 week left, and I am in dire need of a catfish. I'm in dire need of a sunfish. And I mean, a bowfin would really do it. And I can definitely put up some more points in the NE5. I can try to pass Brock, but I mean, I have a margin of error as wide as a razor's edge here. I gotta make some magic. Yeah,
it's tough. The pressure's on as we go into the final week. We have a full moon coming this week, don't we?
I have no idea. I know we got a storm coming. That whatever. Isn't there an off-coast hurricane that we're going to get a little bit of lashing from with some rain?
Well, not only that, but the temperatures last night took a significant turn. So it's just a couple more days, and I think that water temp's going to plummet because I don't think it's going to come back.
Well, definitely for the Berkshires. I was actually talking with Nelson about that today. I think the Berkshires are going to be dead to us by this weekend, but. Again, the Cape still got some life to it. The waters were still in the low 60s when I was out there the other day.
Yeah, we were
Saturday.
Where we were this weekend, we were high 50s, which I thought was surprising. But I mean, the low had only been in the mid 50s most nights. So although locally out there it may have been a little bit cooler. I don't know. It's a little bit. Interesting to see, like, our weather patterns up here are so ridiculous anyway. So it's always cool to kind of look back and get an idea of how things are gonna play out. But I don't know. It'll be an exciting. I know that October does have 2 full moons. I think there is one this week. I'm just not sure what day. So anyway,
yeah. I think my plan for the week is I'm going to try and get out during the days on Monday through Wednesday. We get the storm coming in Thursday. Friday, because of the storm, I don't think I'm going to be able to do. Oh no, I'm fishing all day on the Cape Friday, so I'm taking Thursday off, and then Saturday is any cleanup work. I think I can fish the morning. It's Halloween, and I got kids, so I can't just go out all day. I mean, I'm not. Surprisingly enough, we all know this year has just been so screwed up.
Oh yeah,
and I don't know. I'm not like a way over the top Halloween junkie, but I do like Halloween. It's fun. This is going to be the first year, man. I don't want people over my house. I'm actually turning the lights off. I'm not even leaving a bowl of candy out, which if that makes me some sort of Halloween Scrooge this year, I don't feel comfortable with it. It sucks.
I can't say that I blame you. I really can't, My kids love my wife loves Halloween. Halloween is huge for her. And, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, I like it. It's fun, but it's not like anything. So her level of expectation, Halloween is a Saturday night. And, she was really looking forward to it, doing something really cool this year, and that's not going to be the case. Although, in an odd twist of things, both of my kids have Halloween events, like smaller groups, socially distant type Halloween events going on. So we have a free night to ourselves,
Oh,
which is
nice.
just even more like, damn, that's crazy. But yeah, I think this week for fishing, Monday, I've been fishing a little river spot that you had actually introduced to me a while ago. You told me about when I was looking for a spot to fish this river. And I've been going out there every so often. I haven't really been, slaying them down there, but I'm basically looking to get on some smallies before it just gets a little bit too cold. And then I have Wednesdays I've been fishing before I go into work, my trivia night. So those are pretty much the only 2 days I've got really lined up. I might go out Saturday morning. I'm hoping. And I'm sure Paul's going to listen to this. I'm hoping he's feeling up to it too. Even if nothing else, we can go and take a ride and scout some spots for the spring or something along those lines. So,
Well, you're welcome to join me on Wednesday if you have nowhere to go. I don't know where I'm going yet. I literally put in my calendar Wednesday, TBD based on catches on Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like I have to try and get these stupid a bluegill. I have to get a bluegill. I'm that bent out of shape about a bluegill.
That's crazy.
I'm not bent out of shape. I'm just focusing on them. But I got to get a bluegill. So I know Monday and Tuesday I kind of picked out a couple of spots that I want to hit.
Yep.
One of them is actually kind of a maybe. Nelson introduced me to a spot this spring that may have bowfin in it, and I think I actually lost a couple there in the spring. But it's it's off the beaten path.
Yeah.
It is a weird, unusual spot. So I haven't been there since the spring. I know it gets overgrown, but it does have a deep spot. So I'm going to give it a shot, or at least look at it this week. Because, we only have so few or so many bowfin spots.
Oh, yeah.
In Massachusetts. I mean, the Taunton River has them, I believe, and the Connecticut River has them. A couple of offshoots of the Connecticut, and I'm sure the same thing for the Taunton.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it, right?
That's pretty much all you have, yeah.
Yeah. So, and even then, it's more the backwaters, like the oxbows and the swamps that are located off, and the offshoots that they're going to be located in.
Mm-hmm.
And I love catching bowfin. I wish they were around more often, but
yeah,
people hate them. They think they're trash fish, just chain pickerel. I don't feel that way at all.
I know one local guy who makes it a specialty to go out for bowfin. And I haven't seen him posting many pictures lately. And there's one spot that I like to fish that's local to me that has I've seen big bowfin in there. But you're right. Like I've had people tell me before when I've pointed them out, they're like, "Oh, if you catch that thing, make sure you kill it." And I'm like, "What? That's a native fish. Come on."
Well, it's regionally native. It's not. It's been introduced. Like I said, the only natives are perch, brook trout, and chain pickerel. Everything else at one point or another has been introduced by.
And actually, you make a good point
sellers.
Because he had told me that that they were stocked in here to control a bait fish population or to control something. And I don't know. This specific pond has a lot of issues. But hey, what are we going to do? So let's get into these questions. Let's just jump right in. We'll get into these questions. So I had posted earlier this morning while I was having my coffee. I said, you know what? We don't really have anybody lined up. We had some scheduling issues. We do have some really great guests coming, but nothing was nailed today. After I recorded with Charlie, we did a couple of specials, and those will be coming. But I figured what I would do is just throw out one of those, like, you see these on Instagram every once in a while that's like, ask me anything. And I'm always weary about just kind of saying that because I don't know what some of you folks are going to ask. And I don't want to disappoint. But there are some that I thought were pretty good that came in. So Eric Graves had commented, and he goes, best place to fish. Ha, ha, ha. So I'm going to go ahead and say there's a couple of ways that we can handle this. We can either just be funny and say something like the water, which that's one of my favorite comments. I don't know what is going over there, Sean. You doing acrobatics?
No, my kids just returned home from the neighbor's house.
Oh,
and
okay.
They're knocking on the door. You probably heard the dog barking in the background. We got a great dog. He's getting on in his years, and he'll bark at anything. He doesn't give a shit, friend or foe. So I tried to hit mute. I wasn't good. I sent you a message, said keep talking. So
I see it now.
More dirty laundry we're sharing with the listeners. Like, hey, stuff goes on in the background. I don't have a recording studio. I sit at my couch.
We're breaking that wall. That's what's going on. So,
but I did hear the question, and I was talking with Eric a lot today.
Yep.
He didn't mention that. I didn't even know you set a question out. Again, I've been buried in schoolwork all day. You want to go first or me? Because I have several ways I can take this. And all of them serious.
I feel like you'll have much more value to throw out there than I will necessarily have. But best place to fish, I got nothing for you. I really don't. Like, I mean, my outlook at it is fish everything. Don't not fish it. You know what I mean? If you're on the, like, it's like, and I'll take this from like when I was 100% bank fisherman, you know, every single piece of potential structure or cover, especially when you're on the bank, you're so limited with what you have access to that you're stupid for not just throwing a bait over there. You know, and like, you know, you got to, it helps. Obviously, you increase your chances if you know a little something about the area, like the contours, what's happening underneath the water, what kind of structure is necessarily there. But like, you know, when you see stuff, just go with your gut, you know, what's fishy, and then go with that. So I'm curious. I'm sure I'm going to learn some stuff with Sean's answer to this.
I agree with everything you just said. There's no buts on that. I want to add to it. I mean, let's start looking big picture here.
Yep.
Number one, make sure wherever you're going, no matter what body of water it is, that it's legal to go to, because you don't want to cause problems with a landowner, or B, the police, because usually one or both will be involved at some point.
That's true.
One of the common things, I mean, we've talked about before that I do live on a lake that's private, and it is flowing water. And every once in a while, when, you know, we have to explain to someone, hey, this is not a public body of water, one of the blowbacks is, well, you can't own water. And they are absolutely correct on that. The problem is, to get to that water, you have to trespass on someone's private land.
Yep.
So make sure you know there is public access. For our state, we have a really, really, really good Department of Conservation and Resources. So I'm sure I've winged out that DCR term or acronym or initialism, whatever it is, about 1,000 times between this and the fishing report. Check on the DCR site. There's two particular resources that I like using. There is a pond map section, and the pond maps usually has a nice little arrow showing where the access point is, where you're not going to get in trouble. The second part of the DCR that's good, there's a boating access table. So for those of you who are going in car tops or whatever, there's this wonderful chart that has all of the bodies of water, whether they're listed on a pond map or not, and if it has public boating access. And usually it even says what time or what kind of access between a car top or a ramp where you can get back a trailer down. And I might be corrected on this one. I can't remember if they did an update recently. I know they used to, on that boating access table, tell you what fish species were located in that body of water, but I think there's been an update. This is where I don't want to get quoted on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good resources. Go ahead and poke around. That the Massachusetts DCR site is awesome. I cannot also speak for any other states or any other countries. I don't know. I don't know how the budgets are allocated to count that stuff in other areas outside of ours, but I can tell you that Massachusetts does a fantastic job of it. So
the resources in your state may be there if you just look around and ask.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's one way to approach it. The second thing, going into that table that I said had the species, what are you looking to fish?
Exactly.
Eric and I, when we were going back and forth, because this is his question, and I was talking to him all day, and it got into some fishing theory stuff. We kind of were talking about a lot about tackle and some gear. He mentioned that, oh, hey, I caught a huge pickerel yesterday. I was like, fantastic. He's like, yeah, I use leaders. And then I gave him my I gave him my non-PC thoughts on
I'm
leaders.
sure you did. Yeah.
But if you're out there looking for pike, it's really a good idea to know that there's only 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm thinking of Worcester West. There's probably 10 bodies of water that have pike, if even that, 5 to 10 bodies of water. So you want to know if you're targeting pike, don't go to a little 5-acre pond down the street that has, largemouth, catfish, crappie, and bluegills in it, maybe perch. That's another thing. What are you targeting? What are you doing? Are you going off the shore? Are you going off a boat? Again, look up the resources first. Bottom line, all I'm saying is do some research and figure it out. I think I don't mind getting, questions via email. If somebody fires an email to us, I'll do whatever I can to help. But again, my knowledge is not limited to, but my knowledge is more focused on Massachusetts. I spend, 99% of my time fishing out here. I don't like, I don't buy other licenses unless they're Minnesota, really, because I go there. I think that's about it. I mean, where's the best fishing spot? And again, actually, one last thing to put a topping on this one. I'll put a cherry on top. Put a topping on this one. You don't want to put a topping on it. So, oh God, the drum beat. So, one of the things that always helps me decide where to fish is my log.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If I said a couple of podcasts ago, there was a tournament. I needed a monthly tournament entry of a largemouth over 17 inches. I looked up the upcoming weather conditions and everything that was within an hour drive of me, and where have I caught largemouth over 17? And I went out and caught two of them, one or two of them, whatever it was.
Yep.
But I looked at my log to see where I've been successful, similar conditions this time of year, or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. It's what you're doing at that point is making an educated guess versus throwing a dart at the board or a dart at the dartboard.
Correct. I eliminated places that have not yielded me fish in the past, and I didn't have time to play around with a new body of water. So I went with places I've been and where have I succeeded in that goal in the past. So that's where that log comes in huge. Mm-hmm. So keep a fishing log and base decisions you make off that.
One thing that I will throw out there, and like, this is not a resource that anywhere near as just as like Sean said, our Massachusetts does a great job of informing anybody who wants to get out and use the outdoors. That DCR webpage is fantastic. It's a great resource. But when it comes to different bodies of water too, I think that, I say fish everything, but you gotta obviously know what the best stuff is. So I would there's apps out there that you can utilize that will do mapping. So, Google Maps is a great place to start, especially if you just kind of want to break that down and look at just the topography of everything. You won't necessarily, I don't know on Google Maps if you'll get like contour lines or anything like that. I don't believe so, but there are a couple, like Fishbrain is one that I use. I think Angler is another one that's very similar, but you can go and look at those maps, and in some areas you've got all the charts right there for all of your, contour lines, everything else. You do get information of where people have made catches, but like this, and this gets into where things are inconsistent, because you will see people make catches in random locations as well. Those aren't always right. But if you look at a body of water and you take a look at that spot, you have access in a lot of these to look at what species have been caught there. So you can look it up and say, well, this is, the most caught species in this one spot is largemouth, and then right behind it, but with a drastic drop in numbers, we've got bluegill, brown trout, chain pickerel, and smallmouth. But I want to throw out there that someone logged a spotted bass over there.
Yeah, and that's where you're going to get.
And they logged a smallmouth. I don't think in this one pond, this one spot that I'm thinking of, there are smallmouth in there.
Yeah, see, that's again, it's an online database that you're trusting other people. So A, know what they're doing, how to identify the fish properly, and B, are not trolling you. So, like, I know you and I had a large discussion.
Oh yeah.
Over, I'm not going to say the app's name, but there was one app where a friend of mine contacted me and said, "Have you seen what's been going on at the pond that he fishes?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." So he sent me the pictures of someone claiming to have caught, world-class trophy northern pike out of this one small body of water. And I did some research and I said, all right, look, obviously we know there's no pike in there. And this guy seems to be trolling a lot of people. And I said, it's an app. It's somewhere between where a database meets social media. Yeah. And I've given my views on social media, especially this year. In the past, social media is a great tool that can be easily polluted. It sucks. I wish, humans weren't so shitty about such things. Like, it just seems like some people exist to get a rise out of others. I don't know. If you want to use those apps, take them with a grain of salt.
See, that's what I'm saying is I wouldn't say take them with a grain of salt, but it's almost like if you go out in public, and they say there's like street smarts and book smarts, you have to be kind of smart about what it is that you're looking at. If you see, this one body of water and there's, 40 of this species and 25 of this species, and you're looking at these pictures and then somebody puts something random in there, it's a tool. It's something that you can use to kind of use to your advantage, but you got to take into consideration. I always say, consider the source. Whenever whatever that is, consider the source. So, I mean, they're out there and there's ways to get an idea of what you're going to be fishing. But, I've also had situations where I will show up, I'll look at a spot on a map and I'll be on my phone and say, okay, that looks cool. And I get there and the situation's totally different because of maybe, there's a lie down that it had just rotted away and wasn't there that I was expecting or something along those lines. So it's definitely one thing. You make a good point, Sean, though. There was I was fishing. It's funny. The lake I was looking at on Fishbrain, that lake, I was fishing there. And I had a guy, there's a road that kind of goes along this one bank that I like to fish on. And this one guy pops up over there and he's like, hey, catch anything over here? And I was like, oh yeah, I've caught some pretty decent largemouth out of here. Good size. I think I've caught a couple of 16s out of there before. Like, not too bad, decent fish. And he says to me, he's like, oh, this place used to be great. You could catch huge ones, 5-pounders every cast. And, yeah, whatever. And he goes, yeah, 5-pounders every cast. But then social media ruined it. Wrong. There have been, social media is just technology. You're waiting on people that have a vested interest in fishing alone. Not saying that he doesn't make a point, because it is much easier to burn a spot using social media. There is a point there. But the positives I found, so I asked this question on Instagram, and the feedback that I got, if anything, it was probably about 50-1 that social media is not hurting fishing, that it's good for fishing. The others that had posted on there were all in a similar demographic, we'll say. Older guys, you know what I mean?
Big surprise.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, there are, I think that there's a lot that's great out there. Is it ruining your spots? No, because people bullshitting at the tackle shops has ruined it before for you. Or, people using whatever media they had around. That's all it was. Does it give people the technology to do it faster? Sure. Absolutely it does. But, I mean, you're also... How many people are on Facebook? And then how many people are on Facebook that give a shit about fishing? That's what you got to deal with. Not these huge numbers of people that would rather take makeup tutorials or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen really out of all the places I fish, really what I've seen, increased pressure will make it harder to catch fish, and
certainly a factor.
With increased pressure, a lot more people. If there's more people in the water, more people are going to take fish.
Yep.
I mean, it's just there's places you shouldn't take fish from around here, and
oh, definitely.
I'm very careful about where I take fish from, but I honestly think the biggest contributing factor to quote unquote punishing a spot is when the access changes, whether it's let's say the state or a city buys a parcel of land that maybe somebody sold or divvied up, subdivided land and sold it to this town or state or whatever, and they've been given access. So now you opened up a body to make it public, or a public body of water that had difficult access. And one particular pond, this is my example, that I know is fantastic, but it's gotten very difficult to fish over the years. That pond had a really, really, really crappy public boat launch. And about 10 years, maybe 5 to 10 years ago, the state came in and said, we're going to clean this up, and it should have been this way from the get-go. And that was the first of two nails in the coffin. When that boat launched, even though it wasn't a cement ramp, it was still like trap rock. When that got
upgraded,
the pressure increased. The second thing of pressure, or the second wave of pressure, increased because this is a town, and people who are outside of Massachusetts are going to laugh at this, but this is a town that's in a more liberal area than some other parts of the state.
Yep.
And someone put up, I don't even know how this works, but someone was able to put up a kayak share program at the launch. So if you don't have a boat, you can get on this kayak and you're out fishing on there. So
really?
Still fishing their spot.
Yeah, that blows my. I mean, it blows my mind that I think first off, people would be that like generous, because my first thought is those are going to disappear.
No, there's a system. There's a security system there.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's
and I'm not going to get into
amazing.
that. Not like security of cameras, but there's a physical way of the boats. Those boats aren't going anywhere, other than out on the lake. I mean, so yeah, it's that place has been punished severely. That has been a place that for me and I fished a lot with Nelson and a few of our other friends. That was like our mainstay for a long time. If we didn't have a lot of time, it was close by, we'd hit it, and no, we don't go there anymore. It's just really, honestly, if it was harder to catch fish alone, I would probably still go there. The problem is you get out there, and I've counted up to 20 boats on this little body of water. I'm like, this is too much. Like, I can't. I don't like doing that. I don't like fishing in large numbers of people, because it increases the chance of someone being out there not knowing etiquette. And that drives me nuts.
That's a really good point. That really is, because that can have an impact on every other angler that's out there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like, as we described with the, we did talk about it. Was it last podcast or the podcast before, when we went out for our little Veterans Day episode recording? We were out on that lake, and I swear to God, if I had, it was like I had $1 bills flashed out. Some guy was like sitting in my lap in a bass boat. I'm like, I was muttering under my breath, like, get the fuck out of here. What is wrong with you? Like, I don't like that,
Yep.
It's just wrong. I don't do that to other people. I give them plenty of clear room. Even yesterday, on the water out at Snippatuit, there was a guy in a bass boat working the shoreline coming towards me, and I was going towards him a lot slower. But I asked him before we got within 50 yards of each other, I said, hey man, which way are you going? And he pointed one way, and I said, great, I'm going to go in the other direction. I took that couple of minutes to go into shore, take a leak. I had to go.
Yeah.
It was good timing. Yeah. But I let him pass by me. So when I came out of this little tiny cove, he was on his way, I was on my way. I didn't come within 50 yards on him.
Yep.
So usually the etiquette, and this especially goes for tournaments, for anybody who's listening, the general etiquette's 50 yards. Give somebody 50 yards. You can yell to them and say, hey, which way you going? So you don't cross it up, Yep. I don't know. So that, I think we went off on like 15 different tangents. I think we answered Eric's question.
That was really good. That was really good. And actually, you ended it on the perfect spot to transition to this next question.
Well, hold on. I think the bottom line on Eric's question is, no matter what, where do you fish? 50 yards from the nearest guy.
50 yards from the nearest guy.
There you go, Eric. So I hope you learned something today, because we all just did.
So this next question is I love this. All right. Nola Fishing says, recommend a bass boat like Ranger or something.
Me?
Either one of us. I have an answer.
Do you have an answer? It sounds like you're sure. Why don't I go with my bullshit answer first? How's that? And then you can top it off with something logical.
Yes. Go with your bullshit answer. I think that's much better.
Whatever you can afford with the features that you want. Do your homework on your boat.
Yes, exactly. That's actually exactly my my take on it too. Whatever it is that you can afford, to get you out there and be safe on the water, for that body of water, go out, have a great time with it, and go for it. I don't think that the brands really, matter in the big picture of things. It's more about preference, the things that you necessarily like. If I had to build a boat, I would be looking for something aluminum, like even like a Low or Alumacraft. That's probably what I'd be looking for, just because it's lighter. I'm also, I have to say this though. I am a big fan of Andy's Nitro. I think that is a great little boat.
Yeah, he loves that boat.
Yeah, that's a great little setup. Really, really.
Even with all the paint chipped off the transom, he still loves it. He's listening to this right now, shaking his head, going, "You son of a bitch!"
Oh, I love it. But yeah, it was. I would say the I mean, whatever it is that you can afford, obviously, and, and be safe about, and sometimes for a bass boat, it means you're not going to be doing a bass boat. Maybe you got to look into a John boat, or maybe you look into a kayak. Sean, what would you recommend for a kayak for a first timer?
For a first timer?
Yeah. Like first time owning a kayak, like somebody's like, yeah, I want to do this. I can't afford a boat. I'm going to buy a kayak.
Actually, I have been asked that question numerous times.
I'm sure you have. Yeah.
Shit. I want to top off the bass boat thing before I forget it, though.
Go for it.
The aluminum issue that you brought up. So that's a big thing. If you're going to be fishing places that are either shallow or have a lot of rocks or timber, fiberglass can get holes punched in it a lot quicker than aluminum.
Yes.
So keep that in mind. If you're going out and your local lake has tons of timber, if you're in the south, or if you're in a northern lake or a river with lots of rocks, I have an anecdote about the pros and using an aluminum boat to win a tournament actually in the Northeast. But I kind of want to stay away from the story because it's going to be followed up on in a later event of ours. So I'm going to leave that alone. Yeah. Okay. We can come back to that. Yeah.
We'll tease it. You'll get to hear that.
Bottom line, if you have anything that could, damage a boat bottom, get aluminum. That's probably the best way to think of it.
Yep, I agree.
After that, whatever specifications you want. And something to think about for anglers out here. I know, with local regulations the way they are, one of the largest bodies the largest body of water in Massachusetts. There's certain restrictions on engines, so that's something to think about.
Yeah.
On your outboard, you can only have, what is it? I think you can only have a 2-stroke, right? And then they're limited. So like, if you ever want to fish that body of water, you can't get a 4-stroke.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You gotta, and I think with any kind of a large decision like that, you got to factor in, where are you fishing? Yep. There's some options that are good to do pretty much everywhere, but they may not be ideal for any one specific thing. But you got to play around with that. Yep. So
now onto the kayak
yes.
thing. What I always recommend to everyone is do not buy a sit-in. If you roll it over, it's going to fill with water. You're in deep shit then, especially if it's your first kayak and you're going to learn on the fly how to empty water in the water. It's just not, I don't think they're as comfortable. I know there's been some upgrades over the years since I last went in one, but I don't think they're as comfortable. And actually, a lot of the MacB guys that I fish with, they look at mine, they're like, oh, I've actually heard sit in twice with mine. I'm like, it's not, mine's a canoe hybrid.
Yeah.
It looks like a sit in because the company that I buy mine from, I use Native Ultimates. I love them personally. For one reason, in cold weather, I can actually drop the seat down a notch and my legs are completely out of the wind. So that's huge for me. Like, keeping warm in the really cold is big. Now the downside to that is if I take water in, I have a bilge pump in there because it doesn't have scupper holes. It's just like a canoe. So if it fills with water, I'm off the bottom with my seat, even in the lowest setting, but it'll still I'll still take in water with that, and I have to get rid of it. So what I always recommend is, with those two things being said, buying a sit-on-top kayak. Nowadays, they're getting better with having, even on some of the cheaper ones, are having stadium-style seats, which are so much more comfortable.
Way more comfortable.
My first let me think about this. My first 2 kayaks, I bought a recreational sit-on-top first, that I think had a capacity of like 250 pounds. And I'm at the time, I put on weight since with all the knee injuries and whatnot, and the incredibly bad eating habits. I'm not going to just not throw myself under the bus on that. But, I was way overloading it. I was in a recreational kayak at my 6'4", 200 pounds plus, I don't know how much gear. I was bringing way too much gear for that.
Yeah.
Way too much. And I'm lucky nothing bad happened. My next kayak, I went the completely opposite direction. I got a tank and I said, well, I'll just paddle it. I don't care how hard it is to paddle. And I got a Cobra fish and dive, which is big enough to put scuba tanks in the hull. It's made for divers and fishermen.
Oh, geez.
And that one's actually still up in Minnesota. Yeah, it's 36 inches across. It's enormous, and it's got like it's something insane, like a 500 or 600 pound capacity.
Oh,
so
no.
that was I still have that one in Minnesota, although that one's probably going to go by the wayside this year. I think if we make it up there, I think it's time for that one to go. That one's great for putzing around small ponds, but when you have to paddle long distances for it, it gets
difficult.
Yep. And then my third kayak was my son's Native Ultimate that had no frills, but it's really light. It's 55 pounds with the seat. Like you can throw that on your shoulder and go for a walk with one rod and a backpack, and you're fine.
You're good to go. Yeah, that is a tiny kayak.
Yep. And then now I have I bought a couple of the Bass Pro Shops / Cabela's Ascends. I had the 12s, so similar to yours, but you have the fishing model. I had the bare bones, and I did a lot of work with them. I got them cheap on Craigslist, so I said, we'll try that. And now I have the Native Ultimate 12X, or is it Ultimate 12? Yeah, Ultimate 12 FX, which is the fishing model. It's a little heavier. I can't just throw that on my shoulder and go, but it has a lot of the amenities that I wanted.
Yep.
But bottom line, for somebody starting, I would recommend a sit-on-top kayak with a stadium-style seat. And the first thing you do is wait till the water gets a little warmer. Wait till it gets to about 70 degrees.
Yep.
So you're talking late spring, early summer. Go out there with no gear and flip the thing on yourself. Go out in the middle of the lake and flip it. And then practice getting back in, because that is the most important thing you can do with a kayak. You know what I mean? Like that's your worst case scenario. Conquer it. That was the first thing I did with my fish and dive. And I'll tell you this, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite on this. I have not done it with my my new FX, but I did it with my other
Native. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a different way of getting back in. Honestly, flipping it back over was the biggest pain in the ass, but getting back into it was a lot easier than the fish and dive, because the fish and dive sat up on the water a lot higher.
Yeah.
Whereas the XLs were, they were right there. They had water in them, but I got back in them no problem. Or I got back in it no problem.
So, I would jump in there and say this too. Do homework on all this stuff. Like anytime that you pick the brains of people who know directly. So like I'm a bigger guy, and I specifically was like, so if I roll, like my plan is if I end up rolling it and I'm that, and I'm going to get to the bank and then write whatever I have to. But then I'm like, what if I'm not close enough to the bank? What if I've got to climb back in? How does this happen? So I found tutorials on, heavier people, how to climb back up. And it's not pretty. It's not graceful, but there's a method, and you sort of use what you have to your advantage. And that's the buoyancy of the kayak. You use that to a lot of it. So Sean makes a really good point. Put yourself in these situations and learn from it, but go into it with some knowledge, and number one, don't freak out.
Yep. Don't freak out. And another little neat precaution that
take your time, don't do it quickly.
Yeah, that anybody with a kayak, particularly a sit on top, little simple tip. Right when you buy the thing, take a look at the hull and then go to your nearest, whether it's Walmart or I know we have some regional kind of, not consignment, but closeout stores like Ocean State Job Lot around here. And there's big lots is nationwide. Go over there, buy some pool noodles and cut them up and use them inside your hull, because if you puncture your hull, pool noodles will keep you afloat. Think about how many times anybody's been over their relatives or their own house with a pool.
Yep.
And you ain't sinking a pool noodle. I don't care if you weigh 500 pounds. Those things, one or two of them are keeping a 500-pound person afloat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't take much.
So all of my kayaks that are sit on tops, the first thing I do is look at how, sometimes the hulls are chambered. You never know what you're going to get, but I'll take two of the thickest pool noodles I can and fire them in there. So yeah, sit on top with a stadium seat is the most comfortable and easiest to get in and out of. After that, you're on your own, but definitely do your homework. You're right on that, man.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely huge. Absolutely. No, I think that was good. That was a good question too. And I know that it was, recommend a boat. Yeah. That's where we started, but that's just the way this works. So this is a good one. And it's kind of a question that I ask is, The question came from Griffin T. Crow. Favorite time of year to fish? For me, right now, I love the fall. I love it. I love it. This has been a hard fall for me, but I just love it. I love going out when it's not too hot. There's no bugs. This is all like creature comforts. Like, that's what I like. I'm totally comfortable with it. I love it. Absolutely. What about you, Sean?
Oh man, I fish year round.
You do fish year round.
I don't have one. Like each season has its own flavor. I can tell you what I don't like. Post spawn generally sucks. It's difficult to fish for everybody. But no, I mean, even in the dead of winter, I'll go out if I can find open water, I'll fish it. So I have.
That's awesome.
And I mean, the nice thing about that is, it's a good and bad thing. There's nobody on the water. You might go out in the winter.
That's true.
And if you're on one of the coastal bodies of water, you might see some duck hunters, which again, just like my boat story from a minute ago, my bass boat from yesterday, coordinate with where they're going because you don't want to. I mean, I know it's bird shot and it's not going to go as far as some of the other stuff, and you're not going to get an arm blown off. But do you really want to? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, follow etiquette. Definitely, etiquette with the duck hunters is probably even a little more important than etiquette with fellow fishermen, but they're both important.
Now, I got an etiquette question for you, Sean.
Shoot.
You're out and there's some duck hunters, and you're just doing your thing and you're keeping a decent enough distance. And let's just say, hypothetically, duck falls into your kayak. Are you taking it home with you?
I am paddling over to the gentleman with guns or lady with guns and saying, "You've misplaced your duck." And which way will you be shooting so I don't have any more waterfowl landing on me? Follow-up
question. Do you like duck?
Oh, I love duck.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. That was going to be the other because I love duck.
So this is an unasked question from our audience, but my views on hunting, and I'll even get into to gun ownership. I'm not going to go crazy on talking about the Second Amendment or anything. I don't mind hunting at all. I would like to hunt.
Yeah.
I fish year round. Like I am so into fishing that I do not have time. I've been saying for years, I can't wait to go out and learn to hunt, especially with cousin John being a waterfowl hunter.
Oh yeah.
Like he's on me all the time. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. It's just one of those things like, yeah, I'll do it. Ooh, fishing. Yeah, I'll do it. Ooh, fishing. And I just keep going fishing. Like,
yeah,
I love fishing so much that, other sports and getting into other sports have taken a back seat over the years. So,
oh yeah. And the thing is, honestly, hunting takes a lot of dedication. You have to dedicate a lot, It's one thing if you're going out, pheasant hunting and that's just what you do. That's one thing. But if you're going out, for deer and then you're going out for waterfowl or you're going out for like elk or you're doing archery, and, shotgun and rifle, whatever it may be, like there's dedication to all this stuff, and it takes a lot. So like, yeah, if you fish year round and that's your thing, cool.
I can see it already. Like I would go out with cousin John.
Yep.
We would have shotguns ready for, whatever birds are coming our way. And we'd be in the kayaks because he's been using mine over the past few years to go waterfowl hunting at various estuaries and sometimes even freshwater. I can already see him looking over at me and saying, "Turn off the fish finder. Did you bring a rod again?"
Oh, absolutely.
I'd be like, "Hey,
John, there's these huge perch everywhere. I'm sure there's going to be something huge under here. Let's do it." No, Or hey, we've been out here for 35 minutes, and I just found a cluster of fish on a hump. I'm gonna go over there. I'm that into fishing. Like I keep saying I'm gonna learn to hunt, and it just hasn't happened. But this being said, I think waterfowl hunting is probably the closest I'm gonna get, or will be the first step into it because. That's during the slowest for us up here in Mass. That's during the slowest time of fishing in the year. And if there's open water that I can get into in my kayak and we're out duck hunting or something or whatever, I don't know what goose season is. Again, I do not know enough about it, but maybe I go out fishing and bring the gun to duck hunt instead of going out duck hunting and bringing the gun or bringing the rod to fish while I'm there. I don't know. Do I want to? Yeah. Am I super committed to it? No, I'm super committed to fishing. Yeah, that's exactly it. No, I think that makes sense. But I want to kind of just drop this. We might as well, since we're talking about hunting.
Shoot.
The goal, ideally, is that we want Jigs and Bigs to grow and eventually involve other outdoor sports. Everything from, obviously hunting is a perfect counterpart, but we also want to talk about, other outdoor sports, even skiing and things like that. So hopefully this show will grow into more of a network. And, we've kind of tossed around the ideas of considering like different hosts for that stuff, because I have very minimal background in hunting, and I'm not good at it. And my interest lies with freshwater fishing, so this is where I'm comfortable. But if we were to partner with the right person, and I think the point of this all is that it's got to be the right person. We're not just going to just say, we're going to do a podcast and produce this for you or something but it's something that we've talked about before, and could be a lot of fun. We'll see.
Yeah, let's give it some time, though. We got a lot of shit.
There's no rush
right now.
Yeah, there's absolutely no rush. But
that was not a casting call, listening audience.
No, definitely
this is
not.
Future bullshitting, not a casting call. We got our hands full.
I should go ahead and say there's actually already a list. So there's already kind of a list. So we'll just leave it at that.
All right. Ready for the casting couch? Oh my God, what are you going to do to these people? Oh, I got a lot of drum rolls today.
You do. You got rim shots left and right.
Oh, you got to do it yourself. That was bad.
It was terrible. This is god awful. Wow.
Yeah.
What is wrong with
human beings?
So we have this. Now, this one, I know, I'm sure you might need to consult some documentation somewhere, but what's your PB?
Personal best what? What fish?
I was just going to follow that up.
Right. Hey, look it. So this is the bullshit episode of the Jigs and Bigs podcast?
Sure.
All right. Well, as part of my fishing log, no, I'm bringing it up right now. I got the computer. Look at me. I'm all computerized.
That's what your OnlyFans would be. It would just be videos of you entering data. It'd just be screen recordings of you entering data on your spreadsheet.
With the occasional swear. All right.
Oh.
All right. What do you want? I got the whole list right here. I actually keep a personal best list just out of shits and grins.
I would. So let's do this just because we're both not haters. I'd like to include chain pickerel.
Oh no!
I'd like to include those because I think the two of us appreciate the chain pickerel. Because we're New England anglers, and they're cool.
It's our state fish.
Yeah, it's not our state fish. No,
pretty sure it is, man.
Our state fish is the cod.
Is it?
Yeah, Massachusetts state fish.
No, I'm really stupid. Hold on. I'm looking it up. Look at me in the Googles. Well, all right. Oh, Massachusetts Atlantic cod.
Yeah.
What is a Massachusetts state animal? The Boston Terrier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, baby.
All right. This is why
we're getting a new Boston. We're getting a new Boston in 2 weeks.
This is why I love Google. All right. People also ask, what is a Massachusetts state animal? Well, that I just learned is Boston Terrier. Next question. Is it illegal to fish with corn in Massachusetts? What?
Yeah. That's common. A lot of people ask if it's legal or illegal to fish with corn. I'm like,
oh, dude, yeah. Then you look at the answer. Fishing allowed with artificial lures only. The use of natural or artificial baits such as worms, shiners, or other live bait, cheese, corn, or salmon, or other fish eggs is prohibited. Really? You can't use shiners? You can't use worms? That's not right.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that.
This is why you do not trust the interwebs. All right, so now I was mistaken on the fish, which is dumb because I'm Sean the Fisherman. So let me look up the DCR site because I'm pretty sure the DCR logo has
a pickerel in it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised.
That's where I think I was mistaken. Nope, there's a DCR logo. Well, did they change it? Now I'm pissed. I know I've seen that somewhere before, like numerous times. Oh, no, that's mass.gov. You're going to cut all this out, right?
I don't know. It's pretty entertaining.
Oh, yeah, it's entertaining, but I'm an idiot. So let me see.
I can only say this, like, yes, you're the Sean the Fisherman, the state fish, like, sure, that fits right in your wheelhouse, but I'm the trivia guy. I'm the, like, it's just where my head goes.
Yeah, well, give me a second. I think I'm onto something here. Now I'm pissed because I'm going to find this. Okay, so here's why I was mistaken. there is on the Mass Fish Wildlife, which if you want to cut this out and post it, there's a beautiful picture of our state with a pickerel on it. And
really?
Some sort of sporting bird. I have no idea how to identify that bird again because I spend all my time fishing. So there's a bird and a pickerel.
You know what?
So I knew the pickerel was tied up in Mass on one of the logos somehow, but I thought it was our state fish, and I'm an idiot. So
Do
I apologize
me a favor,
to
Sean.
everyone.
Send me that logo, that picture, like send the link or whatever. I'm going to make that the artwork for this episode.
Oh, good.
Why not? We'll have some fun with it.
All right, I'm gonna send you the page it's on because I'm not.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna fix that up tonight or tomorrow and
yeah, it's at the bottom. It's in a big circle. You'll see it.
I love it. No, that's awesome.
Here, so I'm sending it to you. I'm sending you the link on StreamYard because I'm lazy. There you go. Do that. Sean, the technological master. You now have a link.
All right. Cool.
There, you do what you will with it. What was the question, dude? I'm all jacked up now.
It was.
Do we have a question, or are we just bullshitting?
No. It was your PB. You said PB what? And I said, well, let's definitely include chain pickerel, and then let's include large and smallmouth.
Okay. All right. How about I just give them all because the list isn't that big.
If it's right there,
many species.
Go for it.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to give.
I'll put some dramatic music. Go for it. Now you won't hear it now, but in editing, I'll put some dramatic music.
Okay. The stuff from what movie is that? The Omen.
We'll call it.
That chanting from The Omen. How about that?
I don't know. I was thinking a little like Terminator 2-esque. Well, I'll figure something out.
Terminator 2-esque.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? Before I get into this, Terminator 2-esque, whenever I think of that music, and I can only hope that right now you're spinning it up in the background in the editing process. But what was that movie that God, I'm forgetting her name. Why am I forgetting her name? Because I'm an idiot. I'm just tapped. Too much schoolwork today. Linda Hamilton.
Yes,
Linda Hamilton was in that movie with the volcano in like Washington or something. What was that movie?
Oh, St. Helens? No, that's not what it was called.
No, but I can't remember the name of the movie. It came out in late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Whatever that movie was. All right. Well, around that time when it came out, myself and the residents and partygoers in this one house may or may not have consumed several thousand alcoholic beverages before watching it.
Okay.
And the running theme with that movie is the dog survives everything. Like there's a dog that just survives everything. Like, I don't know if the people who made that movie realized that, wow, we put a lot of focus on this dog getting out of every hairy situation that it's in. But after like the third time this dog survived, and it went on and it kept surviving, I would just, the dog would show up. They're like, oh my God, we lost, Fido. And we'd all be sitting there hungover or whatever. And I'd just go, dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Oh, that one didn't deserve a drum roll. But yeah, that's where that went. So if you're using the Terminator movie,
it's going to be like that.
Yeah. So anyways, well, that was a good tangent. All right.
I might want to leave all this stuff in because it's just gold. Just tighten it up because this is not bad. This is entertaining.
Yeah, well, it's entertaining to us, but again,
this is what happens when you record on a Sunday night. I'm just going to say that. Yeah. That's what happens.
Do you want? I might even go really far here. I'm gonna let everyone know the species, the length, the year I caught it, the state I caught it in.
Okay.
And in general, what lure? How about that?
Gotcha. Okay, go for it.
All right. I'll start at the bottom. So my smallest fish on record is a rock bass, which we have up in the north. They're similar to, bluegills. It's almost like they're a cross between a bluegill and a crappie. They're kind of funky shaped and they live around rocks, hence rock bass. So he's 11 and a half. I caught him in 2018 in Minnesota on a stickworm. So a Senko style stickworm, excuse me. The next one is kind of funny. This was absolutely a bycatch that should not have been caught, and I freed him up and threw him back, and it was not a sturgeon. We're not legally allowed to go fishing for or keep the herring and alewife species that we get up here in the Northeast.
Yep.
So I was out running a lipless crankbait in 2012 out at Cape Cod, and I hooked into a 12-inch one. So I actually had a an alewife. Now, knowing that alewives were in that particular body of water, I was using a lure that looked like it.
Yep.
So there is a determination to be made whether it was hungry or trying to make love to it. I do not know. Either way,
was it foul hooked or was it?
No, one in the mouth, one in the side.
Oh,
so
okay.
It could have been coming up to it. It could have been trying to mate with it. I have no idea. I don't know if they. All right. I don't know if they nip at each other when they do that. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But he's on there. So next one up, sunfish. I think it was just a bluegill, but I count sunfish as bluegill, red ear, long ear,
pumpkin seed. Yep.
12-incher, 2009, in Massachusetts, up to shears on a floating stick bait.
Oh, okay.
Floating on a floating jerkbait, small floating jerkbait.
Gotcha.
I said stick bait. Yep. Also at 12 inches. Now this is a goofy one. Not a lot of places in the country or the world I know have these. We have up here in the Northeast a large relative of minnows called a fall fish.
Yes.
They're almost like suckers with a normal looking mouth.
Yep.
So they're just big, and my understanding is pike feed on them heavily. So I caught a fall fish that was 12 inches, 2010, in Massachusetts on a lipless crankbait that looked like a crawfish.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I caught a fall fish about that size on a weightless Senko last fall.
Yeah. They're very. I only know really. I mean, honestly, a lot as a kid because we were throwing worms out there constantly. In particular, the first time here's a tangent story on this one, Sean the Fisherman story. No, it's G-rated. It's very G-rated.
Perfect.
They school up in the winter, just like most, minnows and shiners and whatnot do.
Yep.
And there was a stretch of this body of water where it was shallow, and there were hundreds of these fall fish all gathered up. There may have been suckers in there too. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can only see so much in this water. And I was out with the dude bud. So this is a dude bud story.
Oh, this is a dude bud. Perfect.
This is a bonus dude bud story. So the dude bud and I were in that battleship of a canoe he had, which should tell you where we were fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw those, and luckily we had ultralight rods and we had worms with us. And that was the first day I ever fished open water while it was snowing. And we were ripping fall fish out of there. Yeah. Out of this school because they had nowhere to go. It was awesome. On ultralight tackle, I think we were using 2 or 4 pound test. It was great. So we threw anchor and just sat there on top of them until they moved on, and it was a blast. So, like I said, back in high school, I caught a lot of them. I've only got 3 in my record, so 3 since 2009. Up next, moving up the chain slowly here, I have a 13-inch white perch out of the Valley in 2012, and on another lipless crankbait. I mean, I've said before, I'm a lipless crankbait guy, and a lot of different species will hit those things. So, this one is where I'm going to interject on these and say that these records, my personal best records, are the only ones that I've logged in this thing are the ones since I started my log, so 2009 and on. Mm-hmm. There's been a couple of cases where I've caught bigger fish, but not many. But here's one of them, and I know for a fact that I've caught bigger fish. So I've listed on my little list here a channel catfish at 13 inches in 2011 in Minnesota on, of all things,
a lipless crankbait.
No, a 4-inch stick worm. So
okay.
It was night fishing, and I thought I'd had another bass, and it was a channel cat. I have caught bigger channel catfish in Nebraska. I was not documenting them. I play by my own rules, or I play by the rules I set. Well, I play by my own rules.
By my own rules.
All I could think of was Pee Wee Herman saying that because we just watched that at my house. Dottie, I play by my own rules.
I'm a loner, Dottie.
I'm a loner, Dottie. Yeah, so I've caught bigger channel catfish, especially in Nebraska, bigger than 13 inches. I wasn't documenting them at that time, so they're not in this log. All right, so Minnesota on a 4-inch stick worm. Yellow perch. I got a 14-incher. That was a big perch. In the Valley. Yep. 2009 on a small lipped crankbait. So
okay.
Yeah, perch, they'll go after anything. Now, here's where the next two fun ones are coming up. These were just established this year. I just broke my own PBs this year on these. So, out of the same body of water too, and on the same lure.
Really?
Yeah, they were different times. So you were there for one of them. You weren't there for the other. So the one you were not there for, I got a 14-inch crappie, which is my one and only Massachusetts State catch and release pin. Crappie, 14 inches this year. I caught it on a Ned rig. And then the one you were there for was I got a 14.5-inch bullhead catfish, also known up in New England as
horn pout.
Horned pout, sir. They are horned pout.
Yes, they are.
14.5 inches, same year up, or same year, and same body of water up the shears, and same Ned rig.
Up the shears.
Oh, I did not update this one. We have a dude. You sound an alarm. I need an alarm.
I'll add one in post.
Effect. Yes, alarm sound effect, and begin. Okay, we have a new record. I established a new record for this year. I set my rainbow trout record. I'm not looking it up. I think it's like 16.75 or 17 inches or something like that. It's bigger than 15. I have 15 listed. So, all right. So my shit ain't updated. I'm batting 1,000 today.
It's so whatever. Sunday. That's a Monday thing.
Rainbow trout. I'm actually going to highlight this one red, so I update that one. I'll have to go through my records. I'm not doing that now. So my rainbow trout's going to bump up, but it's not like a world record rainbow trout. Yeah. So I don't give a shit. All right. Next up. Dude. All right. This one I can update because I know the length.
There you go.
And it's a tiger trout. So I caught my new tiger trout
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. It was 16.75 off the top of my head. And I caught it on. What the hell did I catch it on? I
thought it was a Ned rig, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and again, that's something I'm gonna have to update. That I'm gonna know for myself. Again, these, I'm not a big trout fisherman, and for whatever reason, I didn't update these. Or I haven't recently because of 1,000 other things going on in my head, which isn't good. All right, now we get to the nitty gritty. This is some fun stuff. You ready?
Yes.
Yes. And begin. All right, white suck. I caught a sucker in 2012 that was 17 inches long out of the valley on another crawfish-colored lipless crankbait.
It's pretty good.
So, that's a big sucker.
That's a big ass sucker.
But I don't think it's a state pin. I don't even know if they do state pins for suckers. I don't know if they're listed.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yet another thing to look up that I don't give a shit about right now. All right, more fun stuff. Brown trout this year. Thanks to Mark Huard for showing me his devious brown trout abuse methods. I got a 17-incher. I'm not going to say what I caught it off of, and I'm not going to say where in respect of Mark because he showed me those things.
Yeah, that's only right.
Yep. I have two matching smallmouth bass. And surprisingly, because I really don't target them that much, and we have them around here, but when you're in tournaments with bass, I mean, generally I go after largemouth. So because they're bigger, they're longer for the or it's easier to catch longer ones. There's more around. So I have two that are tied at 17.25. Both of them are from this year though. One was on the Cape, one was up the shears, and I caught them both on a Ned rig. Next up, this one is a single entry. I've only caught one of these in my life.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, and I think I told the story because it was involved in. There was some lewdness involved afterwards, involving a bikini-clad
yoga class, correct?
A bikini-clad armada of paddleboarders.
Yes.
That happened across me after I caught this fish. But I have a 21-inch walleye I caught in Minnesota in 2016. On get this, I'm actually gonna throw this one out there and say exactly what I caught it on because nobody I know uses these things, and this was Minnesota, and I don't even use them around here. I use them in Minnesota, and if someone wants to go comb every lake in Minnesota with one of these,
good luck.
We'll never see them again.
There's over 10,000.
Yeah, I keep the Strike King. This is getting really particular, so this is going to be fun because of the depths of this one lake that we have the cabin on. I use for pike and walleye, and the occasional large bass will hit it. I use the Strike King Bottom Dweller spinnerbait. Have you seen those?
No, I haven't.
They're enormous. They're enormous, and I use them on a medium heavy 7-foot or 7.3 bait casting pike and muskie rod.
Oh,
it's the only Shimano product I own. I that was the one that I bought after, again referencing a Sean the Fisherman story. That pike, the turd pike that sunk a hook into my arm and took my rig. That was my replacement for it. I still have that.
Not bad.
So I used a Bottom Dweller spinnerbait.
How heavy is that Bottom Dweller?
Dude, it was either 3/4 or an ounce.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I was throwing a 1/2 ounce around this weekend, and I was like, I can't believe I'm using such heavy.
Yeah. So that was a huge spinnerbait I used, and I have this one weed line that I like to run those spinnerbaits and crankbaits up against, like parallel with, and if anything's hiding there waiting for something to swim by, they come out and jag it. So I've gotten the 3 biggest pike I've gotten out of that lake have been from that one weed bed and the walleye. The walleye don't go into that lake much. Like I said, there's where we vacation. My wife's family has a cabin on one lake that's chained into like 15 other lakes. Oh. So I literally have physical access to, I hit something crazy, like 12,000 acres of water in this chain. It's nuts.
Yeah, so you could just paddle to connecting creeks and stuff? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, and that's why I think the Cobra Fish and Dive is going away, because it's not easy to paddle. I can get to the next 2 connecting lakes in a couple of different directions, but like getting into some of the bigger lakes farther away, there's no way I'd be able to do it with a day paddle. Yeah. I'd be doing nothing but paddling. I'd be dead. Yeah. So I think that's where a pedal kayak is going to come into play. So that's some Sean the Fisherman information there. But the that giant Bottom Dweller spinnerbait with a trailer hook and a 3-inch split tail grub for a trailer. Okay. And again, I don't use leaders. I go bareback, baby. Yeah. So that was I think 17-pound fluorocarbon I was running that on. So yeah. No there kidding. You go. There's my walleye rig. So if anybody's going out to Minnesota, try that and let me know how you do. It was a white, even more din depth. It was a white one with a chartreuse trailer. So there.
Wow. You guys don't understand the value that Sean is giving you guys right now.
I don't like giving information up.
No, fish not at all.
And like, I know what I did in that tournament, even finishing 8th Saturday. Yeah. I seriously doubt anybody was doing what I'm doing. And it's not like crazy stuff, but I just have my stuff so fine-tuned, I make my little adjustments. Yep. I don't use those bottom dwellers out here. We just don't have the depth in most places. So if you're going out to a deep body of water and you catch something on a Strike King bottom dweller spinnerbait, I highly endorse them for pike and walleye. Highly. Yep.
I'm gonna have to look into that. I mean, not that I'm going out, targeting anything like that, but I'm interested to see spinnerbait of that caliber. And you're right, we don't have that kind of depth, like crazy depth.
We do in some places, but it's few and far between. Yeah. It's just not. I have tried them because of the success I've had out there with them, and it hasn't translated out here. Yeah. I have a personal feeling that, and this is another great Sean the Fisherman tidbit of information. I have a feeling, and it sometimes bears itself out, that lakes with major predators in them. I know we all love largemouth bass and they eat everything, but largemouth bass will move out of the way of a big pike or a big walleye. Oh yeah. You know what I mean? When you have lakes or bodies of water with those kind of predators in there, it seems to make all the other fish up their game. Like especially with violence of hits and number of strikes. It just seems like they think a little bit less, more reaction to a lure of, well, I better get this before a pike or a walleye does. Yep. Just my own observations over the years.
I have the chance, I better take it while it's here, because who knows?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And they're super violent and quick about it, so that, when they're chasing after something, they might caught a bass with a chunk taken out of it, or another pickerel or a pike with a chunk taken out of it, knowing that they felt that second or third jerk when they set the hook. Yep. Yeah, I just think that it's a lot more fun, and you're going to be a lot more productive catching fish when you have pike or walleye in the water, because it just seems to make the other fish up their games when they're trying to eat.
No, it makes sense. Yeah. Yep.
It's scarce. So the nitty gritty here. Now we're breaking 20 inches, the last 5 categories. So we got the walleye, he's number 5. I actually have a tie on number 4, which is largemouth bass.
A tie on number 4.
Yeah, I have two 23-inch largemouth bass I caught in Oklahoma on the same lure a month apart, or it might have been 3 weeks apart. Let me think about this. It was a month apart.
Yeah.
In 2014, both of those largemouth, one was 8 even, the other one was 8 1/4. Both were getting ready to spawn. They were enormous. Yeah. 23 inches. I caught them both on a, yeah, they were big. I caught them both on a bass jig, and that was where I really learned the value. And this is another great little tidbit I'm going to throw out here. I only use one fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
For line, and I'm loyal to it. I'll fool around with braid and I'll fool around with mono, but I don't.
You have your brand for fluoro. Yeah.
As far as fluoro, I don't feel there's any suitable substitutes to what I use, which is that by price and quality. By quality, definitely.
Yeah.
And then the price is a nice kick that it's one of the, I'm not going to say inexpensive fluoros, because the inexpensive ones kind of suck depending on what you get. But it's the best one, probably at the midpoint price range.
It's not going to break the bank.
Yeah. Seaguar Invisex.
Yeah.
I have worked magic with that crap, both surviving pike, gnawing on it, and then in particular with these two bass, these two 8-pounders, one of them came over 3 felled trees. Like, I don't know how the line survived.
Yeah.
I don't. With an 8-pound fish pulling the other direction on it.
You did retie after you released that fish, right?
I had to cut off like 3 feet of it.
Yeah,
it was
shredded.
Sure.
Okay,
but it survived.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
you know.
The other one was even more impressive because I overcasted to that 8.4.
Yep.
That 8.4 was in about 2 feet of water in completely flooded bushes. Not like a stick.
Not like a brush pile, or like this was like it was just sitting there and fell.
Listen, I literally threw this jig.
Listen.
Now you listen to me. I threw this jig into the equivalent of the center of an arborvitae.
Yep.
And pulled it through another 2 arborvitaes to get it back out, and it didn't break with an 8.4 on it.
Dang.
Like I am so loyal to that Seaguar Invisex. Like I always see other stuff when I read reviews of like, hey, there's a new fluorocarbon out. You should really give this a try. I look at it and say, I am not leaving this line, because those 2 fish, plus the walleye, plus the pike that I'm going to get to in a minute, plus my personal best chain pickerel, everything in my top 5. I'm pretty sure. Let me look. Yeah. Every one of my top 5 categories, which is 6 fish because of the tie on bass, I've caught on Seaguar and Invisex of various
sizes.
Diameters.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, so those 2 fish were huge. Those were out of Oklahoma, both on a jig with a trailer that I'm not going to get into, because I'm not going to talk about the color of the jig or the trailer, because I do use those around here and they do work.
Yep.
I have faith in them anyways. So next up, we have a tie here. Yeah, tie. Both of them were this year. Both of them were the cause of the term pickerel apocalypse. I have two 26-inch chain pickerel this year. Both were state catch and release pins. Both went back into the 2 different bodies of water I caught them in. Both were on the Cape, and one I caught on a chatterbait, and one I caught on a weighted creature bait. The weighted creature bait was kind of funky. You know how pickerel are. Sometimes they'll just go after something that's moving. That thing must have been dropping, and he just smacked it. I can't remember the exact circumstances, but yeah, 2 of them at 26. Those are big pickerel.
Yeah, those are significant. Very significant.
Yep. And then
I'm actually going to jump in. Well, no. Keep going, because you already went past one species that I was going to double mine up in there, because mine are nowhere near as impressive. And I don't want to make people wait till the end.
Yeah, but you got to remember, and I always try to remind you of this, because I know, especially during our therapy session a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, of course.
You're talking to someone who's at least refined their method of fishing over the past 12 years.
Exactly.
And then add to that another 19 years of fishing. I've been fishing like my ass off every time I can for 30 something years.
Exactly. That's I think the main focal point, is that you put in that time and you track your records, then it pays off.
Yeah. So don't you don't have to preface it with mine aren't as big as yours.
That's not
Drum
what I'm
roll.
saying. What I'm getting at more is just to save time, jump in and say this is where I am in this. But I was like, wait, you already went past smallmouth. I've only got the 3 species that I've really got numbers for as far as a record.
Well, let's go. We'll go through years after. I only got 2 left. I'm on a roll, buddy.
You are on a roll.
Yep. So 2014, I got a bowfin in Minnesota that was 26 inches long, and I caught that laughing on a Ned rig.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yep. Ned rig.
Yep. So clearly no leader there. Like you weren't anticipating that bite or targeting, were you?
And actually, I have to take my last comment back. I did not catch that with the Seaguar.
Oh, really?
That was on mono. That was on mono. Yeah, that was on either mono or braid, but under 10 pounds because I was using it on a spinning rod.
Yep.
So,
oh, wow.
Nowadays, if I did it today, it would be on. I actually keep a spool of lighter Seaguar for just particularly Ned rigs.
Yep.
You know, and case in point, yesterday with all those largemouth I caught and the 2 crappie that I pulled out of that place in that tournament, that was all on Invisex. Just it was a lighter, a lighter test. So, I like that stuff. Hold on one second. I got to take stock of something. I'm getting a lot of texts. I want to make sure the wife isn't yelling at me to keep it down or something. It is 9 o'clock at night now.
Shut the hell up.
Oh, no, I got... Never mind. My buddy Jay there with the clown lure is just tormenting me about something. I'll get to him later.
Very nice.
So, finally, on the list after the bowfin there, there's one species left. You know what it is. My friend and yours, northern pikes.
Yeah.
Love them.
That turd.
That turd. So I've got a 32-incher, and I caught that in 2018 in Minnesota on a small lipped crankbait, like a 1.5-inch crankbait. It's kind of a bright colored bluegill pattern. That I actually, I don't use that around here. I'll go ahead and say what it is. It's the Berkeley Wild Thang, Thang. I think that's a square bill, as a matter of fact.
Huh.
In their gilly color, so it's kind of like a bluegill amped up, like real bright with the slashes on
vibrant type
bluegill.
Yeah,
and I don't have a lot of luck with that around here, so the hell with it. If somebody goes out to Minnesota, fire those in there too. What I will say, and this is the one that got away, that 32-incher was actually dwarfed by one I caught at that weed bed at the same place with a stupid walleye.
Oh, really? Because
of the fish and dive and the position I was in with this one pike. I'm going to tell this story because, I don't know if I told this story at all when you asked me my initial question of what is my high and low of fishing.
Yeah,
this is definitely a
this
low.
This would have been in there.
Yeah, so that weed bed in relation to my wife's family's cabin is directly across the lake, which is about, I don't know. I'm sure I've referenced it in a previous story. 200, 300, 400, 500 yards. I have no idea. It's right directly across. And I hooked into this massive, massive pike, and I netted him, and it was with too small of a net. And I got him in the boat and had him, because I'm like, I can't even unhook this thing, and I am like scared that I'm gonna get shredded. It was, my guess estimate would be 40 inches. It was huge.
That big?
Yeah, and I fired it into the front of the fish dive, put the net on its head, and then put my leg over the handle of the net just to make sure this thing was somewhat secure. I started paddling. I got about a third of the way back, and son of a bitch, he unhooked himself and slid out of the net. It went right into the water, and I just went, fuck me, how did that just happen? So, the one that got away, that was
dude.
Now, I know a 40-inch pike isn't like a trophy. And my understanding is once you start getting towards like the high 40s and 50s, that's when it's no bullshit. But that was my personal best pike.
That's like you hear about like the 30s and 32s. Yeah. Pretty routinely. Like you start getting up by 40s, man. That's significant pike.
The 30s and 32s,
any more than that. That's like a gator.
Yeah, you're still talking under you know, the 30 pound, the 30-inch range is starting to get towards 10 pounds. Like 35 inches, yeah, you're probably at 10 pounds. I'm pretty sure I weighed that 32, and I think it was like 8. You know, but still, that was a big pike. It's my personal best. But
pike.
That 40, god damn it. And he hit the same thing the walleye did, that white spinnerbait with a chartreuse trail.
No kidding.
Yeah. And he was hooked clean right in the corner of the mouth.
Yeah.
And he wiggled out of the goddamn hook. So, there's my tale of the woe. There's mine. All right.
That is a tale of the woe.
So I just filled up. God, how long did we just talk about that? Why did you want to know that? What happened? What was the question?
This was a question. All the question was PB. That was literally like to look at it. Look, PB.
Wow.
That was all.
I killed that one dead. Sorry. What are yours? Go.
So real easy. I'm going to start with my chain pickerel. I broke Saturday. I caught a 20-inch. Previously was an 18, and that I caught on a PB&J Ned.
Yeah, it's weird. They'll hit that every now and again. Someone will piss them off.
And it's interesting because I had a conversation with Andy earlier that day because I had caught a smaller pickerel on. No, that was also a Ned. And I made a comment how I usually only catch pickerel on like weightless stick baits and like a chatterbait or the paddle tail, some type of paddle tail, like an underspin or something. Like that's the only thing I've really ever caught pickerel with. And I hooked this one and then followed that up with a 20. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. So that was just this weekend, kind of exciting.
Nice job.
Thank you. Hang on. Is it this one? It's this one. My personal best smallmouth is kind of a fail story. I caught him. Everything was all good and was not able to measure this smallmouth. It was 15 3/4. Wasn't able to measure this to be entered in the tournament. You remember this, Sean. I had to measure the body with a piece of braid and then clip it and then measure that afterwards. So that's how I got that number. But 15 3/4, my personal best smallmouth. There was one, and that was just this year. There was another really good one that I had caught at a different body of water that I had weighed in at like 2.4. I want to say, but I never got the length measurement. This was this one must have been like March or April, and it was really early. And then,
just so you know, I mean, with experience with bass and looking at my records over time, I one day sat down and kind of estimated lengths. Versus the weight when I was keeping weight. Usually, when you're at 2 pounds, you're talking anywhere from like 16.5. For a normal size fish. I'm not talking about a ready to spawn fish or a spawned out fish. You know, that's different.
Yeah.
But was that smallmouth either overly big, overly fat, or overly skinny?
It was pretty fat. It was pretty fat.
So if it was pretty fat, it was probably I haven't seen the fish. I'm gonna guess around 16 inches.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. 2 pounds is usually around 17, but if it was a fat one, it's going to be shorter.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was pretty thick. I was like, she thick,
with two C's, right?
With 2 C's, of course.
There you go.
So there's that's my personal best smallmouth. I also have my personal best largemouth. I've caught this twice. It was first on a drop shot in the Connecticut River. I caught this. It was 19 3/4 inch and good sized fish. Had a big chunk taken out of the tail, most likely from a pike. And it was just, gorgeous, gorgeous fish. This was in like the dead heat of the summer. And then I caught another 19 3/4 not that long ago. I want to say it was it in August? I think it was in August when I caught this. And so that's the number I'm at right now. I'm just trying to beat that. And then my goal is to do, like I said before, and during the therapy session, to do a replica when I beat that 19 3/4.
Was that the fish that you caught with myself and Berkshire Brett on that trip?
No, that one wasn't. That was
18 plus,
Yeah, that was
right?
like an 18 and a half. That was a real good fish. I think I caught that second 19 and 3/4 when I was out with Delirious Angler. And I think it was one of those because I put in a few that were of good size, and it was man, that was a good day. That was a real good day. What else do I have here for questions? So those are my best ones, and this I think I want to kind of like jump in on this question because I think it's great because Israel Martinez 76 asks us best bait for fall and the best bait for winter. I want to do one for each season. Sound good?
You go first because I started first on the last one.
So my best bait for fall, really, honestly, it's a Ned rig. My best bait for fall is a Ned rig. Super versatile. It does a couple of things. As the water gets colder, I find you can downsize a little bit more, but you can work a Ned rig a bunch of different ways. I mean, you can even swim a Ned rig. You can change up the plastic if they want some other type of action. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do. Good night, kiddo.
I will allow that interruption. That's fine. For everybody not looking, all of a sudden a small child's head poked into Bobby's view here, gave him a kiss on the cheek, and he said, "Good night, kiddo." Parenting is allowed during the podcast.
It is.
We're humans.
So I've worked those a bunch, and what's interesting, so for fall, my good day on Saturday, every fish I caught came on a Ned. Every single one. It's you can, it's a great way to get a lot out of your baits. For winter, I like a really small finesse jig.
Okay.
Like a 1/4 ounce, really, really small hook. And I think if I were using EWG Neds, I might go with a Ned there as well, or maybe another. But that's so hard to say. Yeah, I think honestly, I would have to say it probably is going to be a Ned for both of them.
Ned for both.
Yeah, like a small finesse jig is nice, but I mean, I honestly kind of feel that. Yeah, I think a Ned rig goes for me for either season.
All right. I've been thinking while you've been talking.
So I'm sure.
How do I approach this question? Because it's not so easy. Like during the colder seasons, during fall and winter,
yep.
I've had success with numerous lures. It depends on the lake. It depends on the forage. It depends on what you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's tough. I mean, colder weather, like I'll generally have a lipless crankbait on.
Yep.
Sometimes on I've gotten away from it in recent years, but I don't know if I divulged this about the pickerel business yesterday, but
mm-hmm.
one of my favorite things to do that pickerel cannot stand, especially big ones, and sometimes bass, is I'll run a big inline spinner. And I'm not talking about a spinner bait. I'm talking about the biggest Vibrax, Blue Fox Vibrax you can find.
Like how big?
I think the biggest they make is a size 6 blade, which is enormous, and I have a couple different colors in them.
Oh, okay.
And pike will hit them too, but occasionally I'll get a big bass with them.
Yep.
So it's situational with that. Lipless crankbaits are a good way to start. Jigs are always a good way to go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a weighted creature bait is always a good way to go. The jig will just, really the difference between the jig and the creature for me is I'm using the same bait.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same creature. Yeah. Well, yes. The same creature that I'm using, rigged by itself is the same one I'd be using as a trailer.
Yep.
But the weighted one just falls quicker. It doesn't have enough bulk, and then it's not a bigger meal. Sometimes I'll use those during the summer versus a jig. So those are 3 options. I mean, that's me. Again, I don't know anybody who wings around a lipless crankbait like I do. I do it a lot. Yep. I really do it a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah, I find
there's my answer. I'm sorry. Who asked that question? I'm sorry, I didn't get the name.
That was Israel Martinez 76.
No, Israel, I'm sorry. That was kind of a push-off question, but I I use that in cold weather. That's the stuff I use in cold weather. It's the stuff I start with. And there's other stuff that'll work, like jerk baits obviously works, suspending jerk baits.
Exactly. But that was one that I was wrestling with too. I was like, well, what about using a jerk bait? Because that kind of fits into my mentality of like, usually that's when I really start to focus on finesse, not just fall back to it if the bite's tough, but like, when it gets that water temp starts dropping, I usually lean to more finesse. And I think of your moving baits, the jerk bait is the finessiest application, especially with the suspending, the way you can just kind of pause them.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I've had success with them, but not anywhere near as much as a jig or a lipless crankbait. Those are like my go-tos. Those right there. So jig and lipless crankbait, hit it hard.
And slow.
Yeah. I would go slower. Yeah. Well, sometimes you can rip them. I mean, it depends. Listen to the fish. If they want it fast, they'll tell you.
Yeah, that's true. I think that does it for our questions.
Yeah, come on. There's no more. I like this.
We got 6. This is good. I thought that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, this could be a whole lot of fun to just go and, kind of see what's out there. Yeah, there's nobody had entered any new ones in the time that we've been recording this. But yeah, good stuff.
Cool.
I figured why not? And I mean, look at this. We're at 2 hours right now. This is unfreaking believable.
Well, I guess I'm not doing my homework tonight.
Nice. Oh, very good, man. So let's go ahead. We'll wrap this one up. Thanks, guys, for tuning in and giving the show a listen. This is definitely a little bit of a change up, but I feel like it was a lot of fun. And definitely thanks to everybody who submitted a question. Oh, wait, there's one more that I wanted to get to.
Oh, what are you doing to me here?
Yeah, there's one more that I wanted to get to. So we got this one came over from C. DeBarry 333. And the question, this was a DM that came through us, but the question was, have you trout fished anywhere yet?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you say that because I'll be honest with you. In the last 2 years, I have not targeted trout ever. Like, I haven't. That's the thing. So that's my answer would be like, when I think trout fishing, I'm like, I haven't really targeted trout. That wasn't the goal ever. Like, I've always been throwing baits with the intention of catching bass for the most part, But lately, I have had more trout of significant caliber either following my baits, in my case, not biting, but also being around people who have been catching these trout on non-traditional, trout baits, crankbaits and, Ned rigs, all kinds of different things. So to me, I say no, I haven't, because I haven't targeted them yet. And I think that maybe this week might be the changeover. I might have to make a change this week.
I mean, I've targeted them 3 times this year, I think.
Yeah.
During chronic trip tournaments, you have to. You got to get a point or whatever out of out
of every single category you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
To maintain being effective and on top of it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I've targeted them more. If I targeted them 3 times, that's more than I've done since high school. I think a buddy of mine, Dave Barabani, I went to high school with. Dave would take me out for trout every now and again. Dave was the originator of, and I thought he was joking when we first went out. I think the first time he took me was out to the Swift River. And he said, yeah, just bring ultralight. I said, okay. So I did. And I brought some small hooks. And I said, what are we using? And he said this, and he pulled out. It wasn't like the can of it. It was sold in a block of Cheese Whiz.
Oh, yeah.
So I had never encountered that. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Because, Dave was a big guy in high school and he always used to joke about his eating habits. And I thought he was completely fucking with me.
Yeah.
He was like, no, watch
it was
this.
Just a joke. Sure.
No, he fired some Cheese Whiz out there and got a couple of rainbow trout real quick. And I said, okay, I'm on board. And we did eat some of it. I'm not going to lie.
Yep.
But yeah.
Were they, what, did it float? The Cheese Whiz?
No, the hook took it down.
Oh, it did. Okay. All right.
Yep.
I know it's super processed. I was just curious if
I can't remember if we dropped any to see if it would float. If anybody has any information, does Cheese Whiz out of a block float?
Out of a block.
Not the canned stuff. This has got to be blocked.
You're sure this wasn't
Whiz.
Velveeta?
Positive.
Positive it was Cheese Whiz.
It was actual Cheese Whiz. Now, that was 1994, 95. I have no idea. I don't know if they make it anymore. Man. It might have gone the way of New Coke. I have no idea.
Because I feel like if it was Velveeta, it would float 100% and probably like leave an oil slick on the water. You know,
if Dave is listening to this, he's going to send a message in saying it was Velveeta, you idiot, and I'm just going to continue on my theme of fucking up everything I remember. This episode. Are you going to title it "Sean fucks up all over the place" or "Sean can't shut up"? What is the name of this episode? I
haven't figured that out yet. I gotta put a little bit of thought into it.
Sean is recovering from camping.
There you go. Maybe I'll give it something really like some clickbaity title.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry to disappoint, guys.
Sean doesn't have COVID. He's just stupid. Hey, just on a side note, I'm looking at our screens here, right?
Yep.
Tell me what it looks like I am doing right now in my kitchen here. What does this look like? Seriously.
It looks like you're in Vegas.
Nope.
No?
It does not.
No? Okay.
It looks like I'm in a popular sitcom. What sitcom am I in? I never noticed this about my shades before.
Huh. The Office.
Yeah.
It does.
Doesn't it?
My God.
Don't I look like I'm sitting in the interview room in the office?
Jim.
Yeah.
You're Jim. Holy crap.
What's my favorite part of working here? The secretary.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And on that note,
you didn't notice that before?
No, I never noticed that. And then you said, you're like, look how I'm sitting there. I was like, okay.
I've been waiting for you to say something for what, 2.5 hours now?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You look at the way the string is lined up, going right through on either side, where you're sitting right in between. Yeah, you're Jim. That's weird.
I'm Jim Halpert.
Jim frickin' Halpert. Nice work.
Yeah.
All righty. All right, let's wrap this one up, man.
And we're spent.
Guys, thank you so much for giving a listen. We've got a lot of good stuff happening this week. I've got some interviews with actually an apparel designer. That's coming up soon. We just got to get things kind of laid out on the schedule and made to happen. But as always, want to give a big shout out to you guys because your listening to the show is really what makes all of this work. So thanks so much. Big shout out to our sponsor, Old Glory Outdoors. And make sure to check out Hooks at Hoodlums as well. Anyway, giveaway is going on for this week. It ends on the 30th at 11 p.m. We're going to go ahead and do the drawing then and we'll put the results out on Halloween night, and you'll get all that information delivered to you, so you'll know if you're the winner or who is the winner. And think of it as a little trick or treat from us. And get yourself, if you're looking for a Shimano Corrado K, you can do that, plus get a bunch of awesome stuff from Hooks at Hoodlums, Stretching Lines, Angler's Gear, and from, of course, Jigs and Bigs with the jig kit to get you started in getting confident fishing a jig. You want to add anything to that, Sean?
Yeah, I got a message from Ken McKee of Lead Free Bass Jigs.
Oh, very good.
He started working on our mass shipment, our mass
Sweet.
order. So he said it would be done very soon. So just in case, once the giveaway is winner is announced, we don't have those ready. You're getting the first one. Should we number them? Would it be cool? Like
limited edition. Yeah.
One of 25 and we can sign it. Or, I'm part of that 8% of the population that draws wieners on everything. We can do that.
Well, definitely. I think somebody is going to, I think what's going to happen is somebody's going to return to sender and say, Sean, I need you to draw a wiener on this. Come on, bud. Come on. I need you. I'm not complete unless I'm, pitching and flipping and there's a dong on this tackle box. Please.
Yep. Was that you who asked me for I think I sent a map of where we were fishing.
Yes.
Google Maps. And you asked me, it was very clearly marked without anything. It said boat launch right here or something. You're like, well, where are we throwing in? And I just drew a big wiener on it and said right by the head. That was me, right? That was you? Yeah. All right, good. Yeah. Congratulations. You've got one.
Oh, fantastic.
You can verify to the listening audience that I can, in fact, draw one hell of a wiener.
It's, impressive. Oh, God. Guys, this episode has gone off the rails. It's been a lot of fun. That is not a complaint. It's I think it's a compliment, a testament to our ability to be podcasters, even when it's off the cuff. So, anyway, everybody, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate every single one of you that have listened, and definitely everybody who has rated and reviewed the show. Lots more really good stuff to come, and we'll see you guys, I guess, in 7 days, okay? Tight lines.